Hello, family. Welcome back to MentifyTz. Today's conversation is not something that is very light. Today's conversation it's something we don't usually discuss over coffee, but it is very, very important. We're going to talk about violence. Violence, especially sexual and emotional violence, and how it becomes a powerful driver of mental distress. When most people hear the word violence, they think about physical assault. They think about, bruises, broken bones, police reports. Mostly, we refer back to what has happened into our families, into our community. But violence, I must remind you, violence is also being forced into sexual acts, being manipulated, being constantly criticized or humiliated, being isolated from people who love you, being told you're worthless, until one day you start believing it. And here's something I want you to sit with, okay? Violence does not end when the event ends. That's simply the beginning. Okay, for many people, it continues inside their mind, inside their body, and long after the situation is over, long after when the event is over. So when we talk about violence, it's not something that just happened once and then you forget it. It actually starts after the act is over because it continues to sit with you inside your mind, to sit with you in every single day. So if this topic feels close to home, please listen gently, pause if you need to, take a breath. This is the space for understanding, not judgment. Let's begin. Let's start with something very foundational. Okay, violence disrupts three psychological needs. Okay, when a violent act happens to you, it disrupts three important things. One, it's safety. Second, dignity. And third, control. Are you safe? Where is your dignity? You feel your control, your safety, and your dignity has been bruised. When these three things are attacked, our brain always shifts into survival. Let me give you an example. Imagine a young woman named Amina. Amina is a figurative name. Okay? She's sexually assaulted by someone she trusted. Maybe a partner, maybe a family friend, maybe a dad, maybe an uncle. Okay? In that moment, her brain registers one message: I am not safe. When that happens, her nervous system floods with stress hormones. Her heart races. Her muscles become tense, and her body prepares to survive. Because at that moment, her safety is being violated, her dignity is being violated, and her control is being violated. So she automatically become on a survival mode. And now here is what many people don't understand. Even after the incident is over, her body continues to respond as if danger is still present. Every moment, any trigger of what happened comes close, she goes back to survival. Months later, Amina might panic when someone stands too close, because at first she felt her safety was violated by someone standing too close attacking her. She might freeze when someone raises her voice to her. Okay. She might feel intense anxiety during intimacy. When she's in a relationship with her boyfriend or her husband, she doesn't feel at ease. She feels very intense because she has already been violated sexually or emotionally. And when that happens, everything else becomes a danger zone. She might struggle to sleep because every time she tries to sleep, she feels suffocated because of what has happened to her. And sometimes she may not consciously connect these reactions to what happened. This is how violence becomes a mental health crime. Traumatic experiences are stored differently in the brain. They are stored with emotions, sensations, and survival responses. Now let's look at emotional violence. We've just talked about sexual violence. How do we relate? How do we know when our emotions are violated? Imagine Joseph. Now, this is another figurative name again. He's in a relationship where he's constantly hears, "You're useless, you're worthless, no one else would ever want you, you're too sensitive, you're imagining things." When these things are spoken to you over and over and over again, you start to question, you start to doubt yourself. He questions his memory, whether he's forgetful. He questions his reactions to every time that he wants to do something. And then he questions his worthlessness. His worthlessness. Okay? That chronic invalidation reshapes our inner dialogue. When you hear these things over and over and over again, you're worthless, you're useless, nobody will ever want you, you're broke, you can't really ever satisfy me, you can't really give me what I need. When these things are spoken to you over and over again, you start to doubt yourself. Your inner dialogue starts to change eventually. Changes in a negative positions, and eventually he may develop depression. He withdraws socially. They start to isolate themselves, stay away from friends and family. And sometimes he may struggle with self-esteem. Because when you don't believe in yourself, eventually you start to doubt everything that you do. You start to doubt the way you think, you start to doubt the way you act, you start to doubt how you relate to people. And sometimes it's even harder because someone may even start to have suicidal thoughts just because his worthiness has been bruised. His safety has been violated. He's hurting inside. And not these things happen not because someone is weak or someone doesn't know how to rejuvenate themselves, but because psychological erosions over time, when these things happen over time, it changes how someone sees himself. Violence, especially when it is repeated, or relational violence, rewires how a person relates to themselves and others. When these things happen, they disconnect how you relate to yourself first, because you doubt every thought you have, you doubt your self-esteem, you don't become strong enough to make decisions that you think are rational. And when these things happen, they don't just affect you, but also they affect people around you. So let's go deeper a little bit. Why does sexual violence create such intense mental distress? This happens because it attacks your bodily autonomy. Autonomy is the belief that this body belongs to me. When you feel that your body is violated, that you don't have control over your body, you don't decide what happens to you. When that is violated, it's something fundamental fractures. Many survivors describes feeling detached from their bodies. They become someone else. They are ashamed of their own skin. Even when they look at themselves in the mirror, they don't appreciate how they look. They become aware of how they look, hyper aware, more than what it seems. Unsafe during medical exams or physical closeness. When someone comes too close to you, or when you're sick, you go to the hospital, you become unsafe or not ready to open up to a doctor because you feel that you will be violated again. Imagine a universal student who experiences sexual harassment. Later, you become avoidance to dating. You don't want to date, not because you don't want love, not because you don't want to be in a relationship, but because your nervous system now associates closeness with danger. Sexual violence often brings shame, even to your family, to the community around you. And shame is silent. When you have shame, it is very silent, meaning it only happens when you're alone. Nobody else might see, but you're struggling inside. There's always a whisper in your mind, in your ear, that this is your fault. You should have known better. No one will believe you, even when you come and tell us that you've been sexually assaulted. Nobody believes that at first instance. And silence sometimes traps this distress inside. We become closed emotionally. And now, when you look at emotional violence, it's also subtle, but devastating. It's something you might think is very small, something that's you can really say or see, but it's very devastating. It looks like an isolation when somebody isolates themselves. Isolation disguised as protection. You try to control love. Criticism disguised as honesty. You become defensive most of the times. Imagine a teenager who is constantly told, "You'll never succeed. You're disappointed. You're the problem." And we, growing up in our African community, we've continuously continued to hear these words from either parents, family, friends, the people close to us. They'll tell you that with this kind of educations, you'll never succeed. You are always the problem. Why are you so disruptive of a calm environment? When these things continue to happen, we grow into an adult who overworks constantly to prove their worth. Most of us becomes workaholic, but we think that it's because you love your job, but because sometimes we become workaholic because we want to prove our worthiness to the people around us, to the people that we work with, the supervisors, to our managers. And sometimes when it comes the time of us doing performance appraisals or performance reviews, we panic because you want to show your worthiness to someone else, because you have been told over and over that you're not good. And sometimes these are the kind of people who cannot tolerate a criticism. When something happens and you want to tell them, "I think this should be this way or should have been done in a certain way," we cannot tolerate such criticism. We become fearful of being abandoned in relationships. When someone leaves you today, you become clinging onto them. You're wanting them to continue staying with you because you fear being left out. So emotional violence, it's something that doesn't always create in one event. You collect a lot of traumatic events, and it creates thousands and thousands of small cuts to identity. And then the mind starts to bleed quietly. So when the mind starts to bleed quietly, now that's when we start to look at things like distress. How can distress actually look like? Not because it's always, or it doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks irritably that feels uncontrollable. Sometimes it looks like crying for no reason. Sometimes you find someone talks too much just for them to be heard. Sometimes it looks like emotional numbness, feeling nothing is enough. You don't want to be in a relationship. You pretend not to feel hurt with the things that don't matter to you. It looks like avoiding to certain things, avoiding certain streets, certain people, certain conversations. When people start to bring them up, you start to avoid them. Mental distress can look like being constantly on high alert, jumping when a door slams, and struggling to relax in public spaces. I'll give an example. I once had a car accident. I was hit from the back by another car. So from that day to date, if you come behind me and hit the table or hit something that pounds hard, I become stressed. So imagine if you've been told negative things growing up, that you're not good enough, nobody will love you, nobody will want you, nobody would want you in the way you look, nobody, when these things, you hear them every day, they create a mental distress that you are not good enough. And every time you hear that becomes a cue for you to see, oh, I'm not worthy, I'm not loved, or nobody will ever listen to me. See, so struggling sometimes when you're told you can't really be accepted in a group of people. When you go to public places, you struggle to relax because every time you're on high alert, and it can look sometimes like a chronic fatigue, something that You feel tired all the time, headache with no medical explanations. Sometimes you have digestive problems, insomnia, nightmares. Sometimes we even want to harm ourselves. And most people who cannot really get support, they end up using drugs. They fall under substance misuse. Okay. So when we have all these things, and sometimes in children, distress may look like bedwetting after years of dryness and aggressions. So sometimes we misinterpret behavioral problems like communications. When we don't communicate, we try to put a name to this distress, but if we take time deep inside to look at how things have been done, then perhaps we might find reasons for these things. Sometimes when these things have happened, we need to find ways on how we can start to disclose, how we can start to talk, how we can encourage ourselves or the people around us to start to respond to these things, start to respond to such mental distress that have put you down for years, sexual harassment, mental and emotional harassment. When we encourage and when we start to talk about them, we start to heal. We start to heal slowly. We start to allow other people to come and help us heal. So disclosure is when someone shares what they have gone through, the experiences. Actually being able to talk about the experiences that are hurtful to you, have been harmful to you, it's one of the bravest things someone can ever do. It's not because it's something that can talk easily, because it is also terrifying for them to go against the experiences that they had gone through. Because survivors always feel that they might be blamed for what had happened to them. They have a fear of being doubted, or being silenced, or being ashamed, sometimes even facing retaliation. So imagine a young employee telling the supervisor that a colleague has been sending inappropriate messages at work. And if the supervisor doesn't respond with, "Are you sure you didn't misunderstand?" Maybe he was joking. But if the supervisor says, "Thank you for telling me," when you validate the feeling and say, "Thank you for telling me, I believe you," your safety comes first. And let's talk about how you feel on what should be the next steps. This restores emotional distress. This restores strength to that stuff. It restores control of the story, of the narrative. So if someone discloses to you that I've gone through a certain experience, try to calm down, listen attentively, give that person space to tell you what they've gone through, because by them speaking to you, they have trusted you. They have opened up their hell to you because they believe they're going to feel better afterwards. Believe them, validate their courage, and ask them how you like them to proceed. But don't interrogate them. Don't minimize them. Do not even try to take control away from them, because these people who had gone through these traumatic events always want to feel safe, to restore their dignity, and to get their control back. The control over their mind, control of their body, control of their narrative. When you want again to take that away from them, you're not helping them. So creating safe pathways may also include professional counseling, talking to someone in a community that is trusted. And sometimes even try to create prevention measures that will help these people to go, will help these people to find places where they can feel safe. Sometimes it could be homes, to teach children how the body belongs to them. Teach them that no is allowed. Teach them to be able to put boundaries with friends and family. Model respectful conflict in the family. In schools, we teach children's consent. You can't just touch my body without me agreeing to that. Healthy boundaries. Train teachers to recognize these signs of distress. Train parents to also recognize these signs of distress when our children come back home and they've gone through such a situation. Create a safe reporting environment where your child, your students, your colleague would feel safe to come and talk to you, and you can provide that support. Sometimes you can even provide access to counseling. If you can't counsel them, report or encourage them to go meet someone else if they will be open to. But do not always try to control the narrative. Remember, in communities, when we stop protecting perpetrators to preserve reputations, silence becomes a danger. Silence is not peace. Silence protects harm. Leaders in our religions, in our culture, in our organizations must publicly condemn violence and support survivors. People who had gone such traumatic events need places where they will be feeling safe, they will feel encouraged and supported. We need all of us to become able to support people who have gone through such events. Violence leaves invisible marks in our heart, invisible marks in our life, in our minds. But invisibility does not mean imaginary. If you're carrying distress connected to violence, your reaction makes sense. Do not wait for someone else to validate your feeling. Start to take control of your life. Your body is yours. Your healing starts with you accepting what has happened and try to open up to someone that you trust. When you start doing that, meaning that you're starting to restore your safety, restoring your dignity, restoring your control. Help people talk about these things openly, because by them opening up, they also help someone else who has never had a place to open up. Remember, your mental health is as important as your physical. When you start to allow people or to allow yourself to heal, you're also healing the community. Thank you for staying presently with me today, talking about sexual and emotional distress, things that people have gone through, violence that has taken people years to heal. Be the person that you can help someone else today. And whenever you're listening from, may safety surround you and may healing find you. Thanks for staying. Until the next one. Ciao.